Looks like our room is full. In WebEx land and here at the Loretto Center. I just brief all in attendance from our WebEx land. Looks okay. Barbara Nicholas, I think we have a Mother House audience under committee. I'm not sure who's all there. Margaret Quayhagen. Looks like Palma and who's with Joan Mahan and Trish Heron. So welcome to all of you. Since we have a large portion of the staff and the Denver Center residents, and just welcoming all of you and thanking you for coming. Yes, Mr. Muller. Welcome, Kathy Muller. Okay. And I'm going to pass the mic to Ali.
So Alex is also joining me here with me, obviously, but he's not. And it's a little bit awkward just because he's over there somewhere else in California and here. So we set up an outline of how we're going to do this, but bear with us. Okay, so Alex, do you want to get started?
Can everyone hear me all right, first of all? Yeah. Okay, great. Hello, it's nice to be here. My name is Alex, and I'm just going to start off with a little introduction of myself. I'm Loretto. Well, sort of, in a vague sense, born into Loretto. My great aunt was Helen Sanders. My grandmother was Beth Fleming, and my mother is Michaela Fleming, who is a current the Loretto community. My grand and I, from a very early age, were extremely close. So I do remember the times that she, Helen, and Luke gathered at her home in San Francisco. I live in Northern California, by the way, just a little bit like 50 northwest of San Francisco. Very early age, I remember Helen and Luke. Helen foremost as a really Scrabble player who just delighted in my mom and my mother, but also as an incredibly kind, accepting, and brilliant woman. Just recently, I've become invested. Just started an internship this summer, and I've been working for a month and a half, which we'll talk about. I am really passionate about education. I work with a Hall-based nonprofit school building organization. After high school, instead of staying right after college, I took some time to build an organization called Learning Planet there, and I worked in construction for a few months, just building a nursery school for young kids who up to an education. In addition to doing an internship with Summer, I'm also working with a nonprofit called WOTC, whose mission is to bring healthcare to citizens of emerging nations. And they're collecting small nickel and dime donations from U.S. donors and fund treatments of people who otherwise wouldn't be able to afford health care. Recently, about a year ago, around this time, we helped financing for the same Nepalese school building nonprofit, and gave me a grant through the Special Needs Fund to aid the equipping of the school I was working on. I'm just incredibly grateful to have spent the last month and a half for the community. I've met so many awesome people, and yeah, I've already been the recipient of a lot of help from the Loretto community, and I'm happy to, and I'll pass it off to Magali.
Thanks. So My name is McGarry.
Oh.
Had to do that yesterday to my boss, who I have for already like a year and a half, so he felt bad about that. But so I am from St. Mary's College in California. Okay, need to share. I've been here since June 1st. But I'm originally from it's a truck stop in California. It has a pea soup Anderson. You probably have it. It's really small. Fields and dairies around where I live. A bigger town though. It's Carlock, and I like it way better there. I know why we didn't stay there. Right? Just the four. So I have older sisters. Me when she was 39. Yeah. So my oldest sister is 18 years older than me. People used to think that was her daughter when I was born. I've lived in California for most of my life. Yeah, I've only been to Mexico because we have family there. Both of my parents are from Mexico. They're a place called Tangancícuaro, Michoacán. So it's the state of Michoacán. I've grown up with Mexican culture. When I came here and I had food for the first week at the Catholic Worker, all I do was make Mexican food. So I made rice and beans. I had like meat and tacos. Yeah. What else? Okay, so in my education has been really important, and not only education, but like just helping others out. Throughout my life, I've seen both of my parents always help out all people just met, and of course with family. So something that's been instilled in me for a really long time. Sometimes we would have people sleep in our room that I had, or in a room of ours that I had never met before, because my mom was just so nice, letting strangers stay at our house. So it's really important. And education. Both of my parents didn't go to high school. They 7th grade, and my mom was done like in 6th grade. She had to start working. Both parents had to start working right away. My dad decided that, let's go to the United States, the American dream. So he came over here by himself, and shortly after my mom came, but she gave my two oldest sisters behind, which are only like, yeah, it was hard. They thought they were going to get a better life over here. Just trying to save up some money so they could bring my sisters, all illegally. So that's also another story. But so eventually my sisters came over here with them, and it wasn't too long, but for mom's long time. She always talks about that. But my third sister and I were born here, so we didn't really have to struggle with that problem of not having legal here. So she is a high school teacher. She graduated from the nearest university around where we live. It's called Stanislaus. Psychology, but then one of the counselors told her, "You can't do that." So then she decided to become a teacher, which she loves. That's good. I'm glad for her. And since she's older, she's 37 now, she has 2 kids who are 10, and then a 14-year-old daughter. She got married at my age, which is so weird to me. I'm like, I could be married right now. No. But that's what she did, and they're kids. But eventually she got divorced, and so there's that whole drama. My second oldest sister, she lives in Phoenix right now, and she just got married last year, and she's 36. So she waited a while to get her son, I guess. And then she finally met the right guy, and they got married last year. As a nonprofit organization called Christ Center. So she goes to people's houses to check on their kids to make sure they're doing okay. She like help out whenever they need help, and then there's a daycare center there too. So it's really cool. I'm glad that she found a good job. Other sister, she's 31. She works at a naval base in Monterey. And she's done justice for a long time. So she's cookie. But she's like the black sheep of the family because she's always moving around doing her own thing. And when she was 15, she got pregnant. So I have a 15-year-old niece who lives at home with us. My mom is a stay-at-home mom for like the past 10 years. She's on disability. She has Social Security income because she can't work anymore. So I've grown up with my mom being there for me all the time. And my dad's been working in the field on a tractor, irrigation, that kind of stuff, ever since I can remember. From humble beginnings, I guess, but always with really big expectations. So I'm here. Everyone in my family is so excited and so happy that I'm doing something like this. And mom she worried, but she was a little bit less worried to know that I'd be with all of you sisters. She still would call me all the time and would be like, I know you're driving everywhere, but make sure to stay in your line. I'm like, yes, Mom, I know how to drive. So she's just extra caring, I guess. But I'm really to spend the summer here with you and talk what I did in a bit. Okay, so you now, Alex.
Yeah. Back and forth. Sorry, I never know. It's hard. Technology. I think we'll do some back and forth questions just to try to explore a little bit of our personal history and the point y'all. So let's get that going. I guess I'll start out. How did you become interested in Loretto?
Yeah. Okay. When I first got here, I had no clue what Loretto was. The internship that I got, there's posters all over campus that said, Alumni Summer Fellowship, come here. And then spend 2 months in Colorado and that, so, okay. Was interested. I was actually planning to go to Phoenix with my sister this summer. And my sister was pregnant, like shortly after she got married, she got pregnant. And she had a baby boy. So she asked me if I could be the godmother, and I accepted, of course. If I had that died. School, it was a Sunday, and I went home, and then we drove all the way to Phoenix, so that's like 10 hours. Drove to Phoenix to go to the hospital to see my sister. Baby was due just a few days before, so nobody knew why. He was born healthy. I carry him. It was a really sad family. It was traumatic. We were all so excited. But I don't know. So, my asked me, Ryan, I don't know, some of you met him yesterday. He came. He asked me after he found out that happened, after I missed school for 3 days, that I didn't have to if I didn't want to. And, like, I had signed up to do this before this happened, so I'm coming because I wanted to be with my family and we're close. And my son needed me, but I asked her, like, she's like, I don't want you to stop what you want to do because of this, but, you know, you'll still be with us, whatever. And so I decided that I knew it was going to be hard being away from family at this hard time, but it would be good for me to come, even if I didn't know anyone and I'm staying with a random family. But I think it was the best decision I've made in a long, long time. I got all of you, and I got everyone at the Catholic Worker and my host family, just grateful. Now Loretto is. That I got in the internship just said that I would be doing training modules. Like that, I don't even know. I asked Natalie, and I was still not sure after she explained it to me. When we talked on the phone before I got here, and, a lot. Natalie's been really great, taking me to and going to New Mexico to meet all of you. It's great. And then at the Catholic Worker, it's been so welcoming as well as here, and just connecting with everyone. It's been family. Oh, they're such great people, and they're so nice, and they're so sweet, and their baby is miss her so much. I didn't know what to expect. I found out that I was going to be helping make bugs and teach you how to use them and that. And I was expecting too much out of this trip because I was just like, okay, it's going to be good for me, but I don't know, that was it. That was it for me. And I got way more out of it. When I first got here, my heart was so heavy, but now that I'm leaving, it's much better. So, like I was telling some of you earlier, it's bittersweet to be leaving because it's like new family here. One family to come to another. But it's getting to know all of you, and I'm definitely going to be back to visit. So you, Alex, how you first get involved with Loretto?
That was a hard one to top. That was very, very sweet. Well, so I was sort of a long-standing family. Some of my relatives were very deeply involved in the community. Involvement, I sort of, for granted, in I was never really, I history of Loretto, and I hadn't looked deeply into it, mostly because I was at the time pretty in high school and all of the emotional roller coaster that is high school. So after something was kind of missing, and I was really dreading the prospect of going right to college. So I was to instead travel to India. I wanted to get an experience. I wanted a different culture that was as close to a polar opposite of the small West Coast community. So I chose India. It was a good because it was really anything I had experienced. I was there for probably 4 months, 2 of which were spent working in an Indian orphanage where I was teaching English to about 15 8-year-old children. It was a pretty tremendous experience for me, especially I was actually in northwestern India during 6.9 magnitude earthquake, and I was teaching these kids right when it struck, and in like one of at the third floor of a really strong sound, very rickety tower that we were using at shift nursery. And I, one, was terrified of being the oldest person in the room, trying to act as if I were more mature than I was, and be strong for the young kids. But kids who had never heard of experienced an earthquake really had to do. And so things were kind of falling from the walls. They were, and I was just trying to make sure that everyone was in the room, and fell off of the shelves. And there weren't many books. It wasn't a very extensive library. There were probably 10 little children's books. And sort of surmounted whatever fear it was that they were no doubt experiencing, and dad books and like did to protect them. And that moment, despite being really terrifying for a whole minute, really was important to me, because just having like an education was to children who didn't have it. And the feeling of empty when I was in high school, suddenly, and I was sort of able to recognize it as just kind of privilege that I had taken for granted, living where I have for my whole life. And from that moment on, I kind of made a plan to continue a similar situation to the orphans with whom I work. As I earlier, led to my with this Nepalese nonprofit. A little bit about how I fundraised and went over there and did some construction, which is entirely bizarre and really great experience in itself. Came back, the work wasn't done. We had a large part of this facility for these young kids, but being a pretty small nonprofit, did all to in a way that we would have felt good about. Mom, I think, suggested that a grant request to Loretto, to the Special Needs Committee, who help fruition if they feel that they're able and worthy of allocate. So I wrote a grant and I submitted, and the grant was granted. And that went to fund the construction of this facility. And at that point, I, really keen to learn more about Loretto, because it helped me and this organization I was really involved with complete the final stage in a really emotionally important project to me. I looked into Loretto more as I read the history. The growth of my aunt's involvement with the organization really started to hit me, and all of a sudden I kind of effectively admiring this woman that, never really known very closely, just because I was extremely young when and I sort of appreciate Loretto grew. I also more and more interested in potentially getting involved in the organization itself. So I decided that this summer I was going to volunteer my services wherever they could be delegated, and I've been doing the last couple months, but I'm just so impressed. The diversity of the committees and sort of subcommunities within the community. So empathetic and kind almost every single member I've met has been to me. So that's what I've got involved, and I just you know, being that there are so many different projects going on within Loretto and so many noble efforts, the community as a whole feels it's really up my alley. I really feel the ethos behind the community is just great, and I'm happy to be involved. That's kind of my story. Working here this summer and hopefully, maybe continuing on in some capacity after, starting to seem more and more like a legitimate prospect. So that's bounce it back to, I guess. How you spent your internship? Like, when
Okay, so my description was training modules. So I was working basically on like tutorials, how to use blogs, and I actually ended up doing this Word blog about different things that you can do. So like how to use Facebook, how to use Twitter. If you are interested, Natalie can give you the link. I also did like step-by-step instructions on how to use a blogger, how to post things, and the difference between a post and a page. Interested in that. So a blog is, I don't know, I like to use it kind of like a journal for this internship, which I haven't really given any of you the link to, but I guess if you want to check it out, just let me know after this. I've been writing about what I've been doing, who I've been meeting, what I've been thinking about, so that would be cool if you really get to know me better. I like to write. That wasn't a hard thing. It was part of the internship, so other people in the St. Mary's community could find what I'm doing. So basically, it's like a journal or like just sort of communication where you can show people, okay, or this is a cool picture that I think everyone should see. You can post pictures up there too, or videos, different things like that. So started some of that here, and hopefully you can get involved with it so it doesn't just die down. I think it's a tool to get other people that aren't just part of the Loretto community involved. So yeah, you should. I've also been interviewing some. We went to Mexico for this, and then I also got to see New Mexico with Natalie. We saw Albany, Miss Springs, and been to New Mexico. I'd never been to Colorado before, so it was nice getting to see a lot of news, I guess, and meeting people here and there. Listening to people and just hearing their stories, and I've done a lot of that here, so I'm really for that. And doing here, editing the videos that I took. Spend time on the computer. At first, I know how to use computers, but I'm not that great at it. I just know how to do simple things, right? I learned more as I've been here. Like, I didn't know how to use WordPress. So it's been interesting. It's been a different thing. Job back home is media communications coordinator. I'm supposed to like know everything, but I don't. Not even close. But figure things out eventually. So that's what you're supposed to do, yeah. And as a Catholic worker, I've been working there sometimes. So I could get like a full day's work, I guess. But it's like not really work. I just cooked, I cleaned, I swept. That's something that you just do at your house. But it was nice getting to know the guests there. Actually, a good friend. Her name is Michelle, and she's a good friend of mine now. She wrote me a letter and like how she's really glad that I came and that I got to meet her, and she made me a drawing, so that was cool. And one day she took me downtown. Taking you downtown? Let's go. I'm like, okay. But she has a mental disability, so people like don't want to talk to her too much, and she talks a lot about things. And so the thing that she said when we walked out the door, and she's okay, so she's really tall, and so you're not scared? Oh, should I be? But no, she wasn't. I knew she would be fine, and I'm downtown. Except at one point, she was, hey, we're gonna meet one of my friends that was drunk earlier, and I was like, okay, let's find him. But it was just being the guest and getting to know the workers there, Marcus, Sarah, Kristen, and some of the workers that were in and out, like Kate and Tracy. So I met a lot of people, and it's great. Like, I could come back and live here and like be fun, except for the fact that my family's back home. Just been the only thing. It's been really great being here and working with you. It's been fun. Yeah. And what have you been doing over there in California?
Well, I sadly have not been able to actually physically be around large parts of the community, but I have been doing some of the same work that I get the blog infrastructure going, doing some little clinics with the heads of communities to try to get them up to code and use them. I've also been working to record some interviews of members and co-members in Motion. About like an hour before this WebEx conference, I was in a meeting session with Barbara Wander and Therese Dewowie. We spent about 4 kind of connecting this little interview. Really cool because it's given me a pretty intimate look at what some more senior members of Loretto have like about the community philosophy and ways in the global community and where to progress future. That's been really nice. I've just been so and happy to listen to these beautiful talk. They're so smart. And yeah, that's how I've been seeing my internship. So I'm looking forward to over the next month spending sort of getting those interview segments into a final product. It's going to mean the video, so we can convert into like a 3-minute video that people who are the specific members or with the Loretto community and just use that as a primer for people who encounter or the blog online, more interested and deeper into the community. That sort of encapsulates the majority of the work. I think I've appreciated about the time so far is how well I've gotten to know a few of the Loretto members who live out here. So far, I've done interviews with Barbara, but also with Elaine, Maria Brand, who's a co-member, and Carol. I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. And they've just shown incredible hospitality and kindness to me. I went to Carolyn's house just the other day, and she had cooked, and so we ate, and we probably an hour before we even sat down to start. And it is, produced to a really well community. And the work that I've been doing, like all in the same page, doing kind of the same, just in different geographics. I think you want to go one, or do you want me to? The facade of organization starts to break.
Yeah. Well, let's see. It's 4. Maybe we should start talking about
Good. Yeah.
That's our code. Start. So we've been talking about different ways to get youth, which is like high school to college, to in the Loretto community, because there isn't a lot of youth involved, and you know, you keep things going and you want new ideas, and as much as some people don't like it, we need change. Yeah, so change is always bad. I've been talking to different people like Anna and Marcus and Natalie and Alex about like, so how are we supposed to do that? So some of the things that we've been thinking about is it's a group where we meet at the Marianne's house. So we've been meeting I've only been meeting for the past month, like this month, because I've been here for that long, but they have been meeting since January. So they bring up an article or some type of text and read it all together, and then they discuss it, what it means to them, different people from like older and younger, newer generations, and that's been really nice. The past 2 times that I've gone, you get different perspectives on how things work and just some done and what other people haven't done. So everyone's up learning. It's really great, and it's nice too because it's like a close-knit group, and everyone feels pretty comfortable like speak what they really want to talk about. And also the fact that what I've seen is that they talk about what can be done about a certain issue. Like we were talking about fracking and coal that's been going on in Colorado. So it's big issues that I didn't know about until here. So I do. Something else is that I was thinking about, maybe like a mentorship. I've been working with Natalie for the past 2 months. We've gotten to know each other pretty well, which is not a bad thing. It's been great. We spent a lot of time together, but I've learned a lot, and I hope I've learned a lot for me as well. I know we're from different cultures, different backgrounds. We're also Central Valley, California. Yeah, so we know how the heat is over there right now. Just, you know, other things that you wouldn't think you would have in common with someone else that is different from you. She's a religious sister, and I'm a 20-year-old college student. But we found a lot of common things. So maybe doing something similar to like that. I don't know, have someone come and talk to you for 2 hours, an hour, a day. That's we part of Loretto now somehow. We need to get more people involved. So Alex, what else have you been thinking about?
So I feel here that I could just go off on just some thoughts and stuff. Okay, so I'm gonna go for it. So like even so one part of the discussion that Natalie got over the period of how we square the circle of long-term relationships between effective members and Loretto community. Problem that come is here usually that will think of their time to the community, but then will sort of fall off the map after the term of their membership or whatever it is. So, like perspective, even in the month or so I've been involved with the community, really, and I've made already a profound appreciation for the courtesy and acceptance that's been extended to me. So I don't necessarily think that making labs, providing a viable petri dish for those bonds to develop is a problem. I think the hard part and the problem that we're facing is designing opportunities for people to connect to the community. I live in a geographic area where really few people count themselves as religious. Few of my classmates in high school are religious practitioners. However, among a population of younger people who have been seriously exposed to religion, there's sort of spirituality. Classmates and myself included, instead of going straight to college, did do things like travel to India or China in pursuit of a more spiritual education. The desire to be introduced to a spiritual, supportive community exists in younger people. The question is just capture that interest. I think one part of the reason why now there's such like a relative pool of younger community members in the Loretto community is that fundamental of changed from a brick and mortar focused teaching institution to a global community that includes people from all across the world whose interests are focused hither and on, and that's a great thing. But time has gone on, and as those teaching have no longer become like a part of the Loretto way of life, we sort of lost the mechanism by which younger people have traditionally been brought up. The 4 years spent in a Loretto school was so often like the perfect amount of time for someone to a deep appreciation for the values that are promulgated by the community. To the point I made originally, which is that I think the question needs to become how do we you put a table a couple of ideas, maybe really huge wealth of human resources within maybe something like an internship or a mentorship for local youth could like an idea I had would maybe to have a committee on which only younger people, and we could the definition of like a person on that committee, and they might be getting in with local issues that pertain to education system, like the secondary or primary education system. Could be to designate a spot on maybe Loretto committees for a younger person, so maybe a college grad or even high school. Making the structure of these in a way that will give younger people a chance to get their door, make some connections, and hopefully usher in, new ideas and new approaches to some of the traditionally held in these types of art. So those are a few specific ideas. I think the sort of approach thing that was achieved by having actual schools, getting people of the values that can be carried by the community and giving them like a chance to get their foot in the door and themselves in a more significant capacity. Yes. I don't know. Do you have any comments on that?
No, good.
Do you want to go into sections or whatever?
Yeah, I guess so. So, right now, time, an hour. Do you for us? We're in WebEx land, I guess that's what it's called now. Questions are here. Center. of a job?
Maybe personal questions or questions about
Yeah.
the specifics we just outlined or whatever.
Microphone on?
When coming back, you know that's a very important question. In just a word, I mean to be with us. You are very, very precious.
Thank you. I don't know yet. I mean, I'm just leaving tomorrow, so.
I know, but I want
some time.
Plans, you know.
I think the correct answer is soon.
Yeah, there you go.
Now, Alex, don't you help her.
Thanks. But next summer, I don't think I'll be able to come because I have classes to take over the summer. I want an occupational therapy program, so I need prerequisite classes for that. Right now it's psychology, and it doesn't have like anatomy and biology, so those are some classes I have to take. But I have spring break, and then I have Jan term break, which you can ask me about later if you have this great thing called Jan St. Mary's. It's awesome. But I'll find time. Obviously, I have to come back. Just don't end.
You just let us know. Sure, we have your phone number.
I don't really understand.
Well, I do have your phone number, but I mean your email.
Okay. Oh, Anna has a question.
So, really, it's been wonderful to hear you talk about how to reach to younger people, and I appreciate giving that some thought. And my question is, we're used to this WebEx thing, that we can continue that conversation with the two of you, or might be interested.
And I don't even know how WebEx works, so yeah, Rebecca can explain to me. And yeah, I have 3 weeks at home until I start school. Well, a week of orientation for my job, which is like Institute for Life and Social Action. We have acronyms. It's called SILFA. We're known for lots of acronyms at our college. But it's a social justice group, I guess. I think I do a lot, but I guess I kind of do. I take pictures and just do media stuff so people know what's going on and what we're doing at school for a week before school starts. And school starts, yay! So I don't know how much time I'll have, but if you let me know ahead of time, I can try to make things happen.
For the next month, so I'll definitely be here to continue the conversation if anyone is interested.
Yeah, we would have to be intentional about that and set up a time. And if you knew other people or any of us wanted to bring other people kind of conversation, I think it would be very helpful.
Yeah.
And so much for the two of you for what you're contributing to Loretto right now. It's a full grace, and again, you'll be back, and I hope, Alex, someday you'll come to Denver and meet some of the Denver folks.
On the docket, I want to get out there. I wish I could have this summer, but I had so many obligations that a trip wasn't a card. Sadly, gotta do it there. Here.
I guess Natalie needs to come to the microphone.
Or you can just reiterate the question.
Okay. To address on question, ongoing conversation with this topic, also with the 6 that are involved in our spiritual group at Man Cunningham and Coyle's house. And I think it was ongoing conversation for a long time. This is just the beginning. And thank you for even considering coming here this summer. And we proposed the convent. I know that was next summer we'll come up with a better idea. Thank you.
Sylvia, does someone question?
Not a question. I just want to say thank you.
Oh. Yeah.
Going to echo that. Given a lot of yourself. Thank you so much. You've given us shot here. You've given us a lot of ideas, a lot of ideas, and we are taking them very much to heart. Thank you for your youthful infusion.
Thank you for your shot of Loretto. Sorry, I've been working on her interview video, and that's just my favorite part. She's talking about how she gets a shot of Loretto. I have another question here.
Grew up in a church that was quite different, and looks like with the new pope, maybe we're getting different. The church is moving on a bit. I'm wondering, one thing you could offer for how church fits into your lives, or ours either, really. But what do you suggest as a possible next step on the way to something better?
What do you... Sorry.
Many specific critiques, like the way that business is conducted. I just am concerned with making sure that community is the momentum and the energy that exists within the community right now will, 100 years down the line, and know that's really one. Being, yeah, that's kind of that actually, I think. But I my energy into, and that's what I would try to ensure. So just try to make sure that there are safeguards for everything going forward in the future, and definitely.
Yeah. No, you all. To me, you're a pretty big community, and some of you don't really know each other. So interviews that we've done might help out a bit too, because you might find out things that you didn't even know about a person that you thought you knew. That's not a lot here. She's done a bunch of crazy things that I never would have thought. But it's good to get to know people on a deeper level, I think. It's great that you have similar passions, but just your background too. You'd be surprised. Like, I had things with Dory, like how she enjoyed being with people with disabilities, and I do too. And similar story, she had someone who she kind of looked up to and helped out throughout her life. And I had someone who I met when I was younger that made me want to work with people with disabilities. So, you know. Yeah. Questions, comments? Barb?
Yeah, hi, over here in Kentucky. Great to meet the two of you, Magali and Alex. Just wonderful to hear your stories and pick up energy clear over here in the South. And I just said made me want to hook in there with the Jubilee Committee representative. One of the projects that went on in Kentucky during the AS 2012 celebration, some of us old people happened to be at Loretto at the time. And I just would, wow, there's a whole bundle of interview material somewhere that maybe 10 of us participate in. And I'm throwing this out to the Jubilee Committee people, see if some of that is available, that's ongoing, if that's accessible to people, how to get little video snaps and blogs and that's going.
I think it was there were more than 10 people who participated in those, and the reason that they haven't surfaced is because they're analyzed. Because I think correct me if I'm misunderstood. I think there are about 50 of them out there, still in the works. So presumably those will be done some hopefully. And you're exactly right. There's a wealth of information and interviews out there that have yet to be processed and made final.
Good.
Going on. Eleanor. Part of it.
There is, like Alex said, a great web of recorded information someplace, and I'm glad to know that there's still access to it in different ways. That's the future, though, then it's wonderful to think what our Loretto also is, and it's just really great.
Yeah. So I guess we're done now. No more questions? Yeah. Okay. So, can you guys hear the claps? Yeah. Thank you everyone for being here today. Oh, sorry everyone in WebEx land. You don't get to eat the dinner that someone prepared for me here today. I get scalloped potatoes and cheesecake and some kind of chicken. I don't know. So,
Sound's going on. Sorry about that, everyone. Thanks everyone for being here, and it was a pleasure to meet everyone only over the and I'll make it to or and be there in the flesh and blood.